Good morning. We're starting the walk this morning in Birmingham on the main line canal near to the Gas Street Basin. The landmark here is the Birmingham Contemporary Art Centre and the ultimate indoor Lego experience, if that means anything to you. Now we're going to pan round and we're going to walk this canal in the direction of Wolverhampton. Just another clue to the starting point. This is the Sheepcote Street Bridge, which we were passing under almost immediately after we started our walk. Just gone a short distance and we're looking back to one of the loops on this canal. I believe this is the route of the old mainline canal, which tended to follow the contours, and so it loops in and out of the new mainline canal, which is the one we're following. Just half a mile in and we're passing a canal going off to the right, presumably one of the loops, and the bridge is marked Thomas Astbury, Smethwick, and this is Monument Road Basin Bridge, half a mile from where we started. 3/4 of a mile from the start, and it's got signs of old industrial workings here and a loop going off, and spin round the canal, and the other side of the canal, as you can see, we have a railway line. And we'll walk across here. We've come to a sort of crossroads in the canal with a finger post, and it says that down there is the Soho Loop. Up that way is Birmingham. Round here is another loop where they're actually repairing the banks of the canal. No paths on these smaller loops. And right the way round, the way we're walking, which is signposted to Wolverhampton. And the canal boat passes slowly underneath us. The footbridge here is marked with the maker as Thompson, Astbury & Co, Smethwick. In the middle of the canal here is presumably the remains of a bridge. It's not clear what it used to be, although I notice on the left hand side here coming up is more, so it looks as though there's a bridge that ran diagonally across the canal here, possibly something to do with the railway line that is still running alongside us on the right hand side. Almost a mile and a half from the start of this walk, and we're passing under a bridge which is marked Winson Green Bridge. Winson Green, if I'm not wrong, is famous as being a prison, so we must be fairly close to that. One thing I would say is that the path is on both sides of this canal. The left one here, especially now coming up, is less well made up. The one on the right seems to be a harder material, but that in its turn attracts all the cyclists and a lot more people. There are signposts on this side which indicate that it carries on like so, where it says Winson Green Junction 400 metres, Galton Valley 2.8 kilometres. So we're going to stay on the left hand side, although it gets into a little bit more of a muddy track now, and we'll see where it takes us. 1.6 miles from the start, and we've met the Soho Loop, which we lost half a mile back, turned off. It's now reappeared here, and it says on the board here that the Soho Loop is 1.25 miles, so that could be an interesting diversion. I believe it's the older canal, something to follow up on another day, and there certainly seems to be a canal path running alongside it. But we're continuing down the main line towards Wolverhampton, and the finger post here says 11 miles to Wolverhampton and 3 locks to pass through. 2.5 miles in and we've come to a junction here where the canal goes off to the right. We've stuck on the left-hand path so far, much the nicer path, muddy in places, but that's great. Now this bridge is marked Horsley Ironworks, Staffordshire, 1828. 200 years old, almost. I think I might have to cross the path here now though, because it's looking a little bit thin on the ground here to continue. So we'll cross over to the right hand side at this point. The sign up there says the right hand turn is Spoon Lane Junction, and it's the old line. It's one of the loops before the canal was straightened and locks were installed. So this is Smethwick Junction. We've crossed over now onto the right hand side of the canal, and the note down here, this is actually marked as National Cycle Network route number 5, which may explain why we've seen quite a few cyclists on it. The decision to change over paths at Smethwick Junction was absolutely the right one, because the path on the left hand side stopped shortly afterwards. Now we're just coming up to an amazing iron bridge here, very elaborate. Don't see any name on it or any details on it, and sheltering under the bridge, if you can just make out on the left there, is a heron busy fishing. Just coming up now on what clearly looks like a pumping station of some sort. Hopefully there'll be a placard as we pass it. And the board says it's the Galton Valley Canal Museum, housed in the new Smethwick pumping station, built in 1892. Well, we've climbed the steps up to the pumping station. The museum is closed, but what we've done is we found ourselves alongside the old canal, which is running at a higher level but parallel to the new canal. We've come down from the pumping station and left the older canal at the top there. They do meet up in a couple of miles, but we're continuing along the main route, and we're just coming up to a short tunnel called the Galton Tunnel. And as we come out of the tunnel, which I estimate is about 90 metres, we've got a very high road bridge labelled up as the Galton Bridge, and just beyond it is a brick-built bridge which has a train stopped on it now, so there must be a station up there. Looking back at the Galton Tunnel, we're just in time to see a canal boat coming through. It looks very much like the one we saw earlier on, which was going across at the crossroads and going up the Soho Loop. And in the background you can hear the announcement from the railway station on the bridge above me. Presumably that's Galton Station or Galton Station. 4¼ miles in, and there's another high level bridge here. Beyond is a brick built lower level bridge. And beyond that I can see what looks like a motorway bridge. Traffic pouring across it, but we'll get to that shortly. Coming the other way is the second canal boat we've seen so far in nearly 2 hours. Just gliding underneath the bridge here. And now the tall bridge ahead of us, the higher level one with the traffic on, is where we pass under the M5 motorway. And this is the construction underneath the motorway bridge. Hasn't quite got the elegance of some of the brick built or iron bridges we passed, but Obviously it serves a purpose. Just come up to a junction here. This footbridge is marked Horsley Company, Tipton 1848, and it indicates that we probably need to pass over to the other side of the canal. We climb up here, we see the canal coming in from the right, and the path does disappear on the right hand side. That's the canal we saw bridge off earlier on, and that's the old canal. So we're going to cross over here and continue down on the left hand side. 6.1 miles, and there's a branch off to the right there, no name on it, but we're continuing along on the main canal here. In fact, the name on the bridge there is Pudding Green Junction Bridge, so presumably this is Pudding Green. Underneath another railway bridge, and just on the other side is a heron fishing. They often seem to wait underneath the bridges. Maybe something there that they know that we ought to learn if we're a fisherman. It's wandering up the path there. Beautiful. And just passing under the disused footbridge here, dedicated, according to the writing, to Tojo the Dwarf. At 6 3/4 miles, we've got a branch going off to the left here. We had to come across a little footbridge, which is actually dated 1855. That's the way we're going, up the main canal. There's a finger post over there, and it says the branch goes off to something Hall Junction. I can't read it from this distance. And that's the way we walk down. And this is the 1855 footbridge. We've just come from out there through the bridge, which is marked Toll End Works. That's a branch off, goes I believe to the Netherton Tunnel. The signpost says this is called Sheepwash, and if we pan round just to show you the way we're continuing on, and we're going on down there. 8 miles, and we're passing a boatyard. The bridge is marked 1880. Down here we've got a lone police officer walking the bank. First time I've seen one of those in the canal path. There we are. And it's marked as Caggy's Yard Bridge. All a bit scruffy and run down. Eight and a quarter miles in, we've just passed Tipton railway station, and we're just coming up to some lock gates here that lift the canal up to another level. There's at least a pair of locks, and it may be 3 locks here. Nobody in them at the present time. This is the middle lock, lock number 2. We've got a small road bridge crossing between the top 2 locks. And we're just coming up to the top lock, or at least lock number 1. And up here we do have some maintenance work going on the canal. This one is marked Old Fact, and across there we have Factory Bridge and a major branch going down to the left. On this junction is a pub called the Old Bush Bar and Grill, so if you do need to eat, there's a good stopping point. When I went in, I was only offered the Indian menu because it's owned by Indian people now, and so I had to choose from that. But later on I saw other people were eating English food, so I think they gave me the wrong menu or didn't give me a big choice. So anyway, stop here. Good little pub. 9.3 miles from the start, and we've now come upon Coseley Tunnel. There is a footpath through the tunnel, or there is one that goes up and over the top, but that looks pretty steep. So we're going through the tunnel. I think the sign said 320 yards, but, and looking from here it looks, yeah, it looks that sort of distance. So here we go. Well, back through and out the other side, but that's not one I would really recommend unless you've got a torch. It's very black in there. The path is very rough and you can't see where you're putting your feet. There is a railing, I think, continuously along the side, and when you could glimpse it, it seemed to be there. But if I had my options again, I'd either take a powerful torch or take the route over the top of the hill and down the other side. Anyway, we're through. At 10.25 miles, we've got another branch coming in. No labels telling you what it is. That's coming in, and we're carrying on down the canal in that direction there. Well, we're on the outskirts of Wolverhampton now. A lot more built up. Houses beside the path. But still, pleasant walk. For the last couple of miles, the canal itself has had a very milky sort of texture to it. I don't know what they've got into it, but it doesn't look as good as canal waters normally do. Probably doesn't show on the camera, but it's very clear as you walk along. 13 miles out from our start of our walk in Birmingham, and we're still on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. Some remains of industry here. And 100 yards further on is another derelict factory building, singularly lacking in any sort of charm. And just a scrapyard here next to that factory building. On our right is a vast area storing British Oxygen Company gas bottles, and they're quite determined that no one should get in or out of those premises. Look at this protection, this modern version of bar on the top. You wouldn't see more fortifications than that in a prison. A little further on, another derelict shed almost. It looks as though it's got sort of asbestos panels holding it up. Clearly beyond repair. And now we're passing a building made almost entirely of rusty corrugated iron. Over here is a coal yard. I've seen one of those for a long time, and there's a machine there for loading sacks of coal. I didn't realise one could still buy coal by the sack load. It's something that used to happen in our childhood. On our right is a branch, or turning off of the main canal, to Cat's Hill Junction. But generally this is a pretty run-down area, derelict area. Not a lot to be said for it. On our right is the railway line, passing over quite an amazing set of arches here, all brick built, Victorian. It's probably the best thing around here. Up ahead is another large building, possibly a mill of some sort. It looks as though it has some character and could be used for something, could be rescued, renovated. Now coming up is another industrial building that has been renovated, and it's really good to see a lot of character in the area. Can't see at the moment whether it's been turned into business apartments or accommodation, but it looks cared for. Alongside it are some new builds which are not really to everybody's taste, although I suspect they're fairly comfortable, but doesn't really compare to this original building. And there's some more of the new ones back the way we came. And how about this for an eyesore? A concrete monstrosity for storing cars. Really is an eyesore. And built on top of an old bridge over the canal. And that was the Wolverhampton Tunnel. So we're almost in the heart of Wolverhampton now. And that's as far as we're going. We cross the road here and walk straight into the city centre. That's 13 3/4 miles from our start in Birmingham. The canal does continue for a mile or two where it joins up with others, but we're not going to be doing that at the moment. So I'll leave you with pictures of the Birmingham to Wolverhampton Canal.